And it pretty much like always permanently in the books, hoping that Tyson will show up. So
Yes.
it's just gonna be like that on the show too. Picture they put out for on Entertainment Weekly put out a picture of him after they showed him in the trailer, and he's at their house. He's at like Sally and Percy's house in the picture. Um, it's obviously their house because there's like nice paintings and things like that sitting behind him. He's at like a table, almost looking like it's like breakfast time or
Yes.
something, and he's there ready for the day, wearing his shirt for the horrible school that they go to.
Hmm.
And so one thing that was interesting was I forget where they said this, but somewhere in some of the interviews that they did, and Daniel and Walker were talking about and just like putting it together that like Tyson is living with them,
Yes.
that he's not like living on the street, he's living with them. And that's one of the things that, like, if you're going to do a TV show like this and you make Sally Jackson a real character like they did in season 1, like
Hmm.
Sally would never let Tyson live out on the street and just like
Yeah.
know that he's out in the street. Like we even brought that up when we were reading the book, but because
Yeah.
a book is a book, and it's all from Percy's perspective, and he just kind of offhand mentions it, and then they just like move on. You don't really have time to like really think about that because you're just moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But with this being a TV show and you like have this characterization of Sally set up, people would you're it's way it doesn't make sense for
Yes.
her to like just let him be homeless out on the street when they now, especially since the place that they're living in looks like a lot nicer, they probably are going with the story that she, sold Gabe for money and now has money, and so they live in like a nicer, she would never let him do that. And so
Yeah.
one of the things that Walker said was that he said, I think, because they were talking about, the whole thing that people say about Percy having like all these problems with Tyson, and how in the actual book those things don't really exist. Like he
Yeah.
gets upset with him in like one part, but most of it is just like him in his head being frustrated that everyone at camp is turning against him
Hmm.
because they don't like Tyson, and he's like, this is supposed to be the one place where people like me.
Hmm.
And but there isn't like actually that much that he does like outwardly that he needs to like atone from or whatever, or just almost go through like
Yeah.
the character development story of like realizing that he needs to take care of Tyson. But if you change it where he's living with Sally, when Tyson is living with Sally, then it actually makes sense that he wouldn't like Tyson sometimes,
Hmm.
because because he just got his mom back. Like not only because he's not his mom was literally dead for like many months, for at least when they were on the quest, he thought that she was dead and wasn't going to come back for a while, and they
Yeah.
didn't know for sure if she was. But more importantly, Gabe is gone. And so
Hmm.
this is the only time since he was like 6 years old that he has had his mom. And this is the only time that he's had his mom to himself, where he's going to a school in New York City where he's not like having to like be far away.
Hmm.
Like, and so it's like there's always like something like stopping Percy from just having like the time that he wants with his mom. And in this case, it's Tyson, who is a sweet child, but still, it's understandable why he wouldn't like that. Like, why he wouldn't like having to share his time with his mom, even though Tyson is very sweet and everything.
Hmm.
But it's like, I finally got rid of the guy that was terrorizing us all this time. I just want to have time with my mom. And now
Yeah.
I'm having to like compete with her with somebody else again when I just want to see my mom. And that's a very like that is actually a way that Percy would be like bothered or whatever by Tyson for a little while, because how it
Hmm.
happens in the book doesn't really make sense. But in that context, it makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
why he would feel like that and why Tyson would just kind of like stick it out with him in the beginning and just know that he's going to understand. But also just to say that was basically what Walker said. The words he said was like, I think that this is the first time where Percy has like felt safe with like
Hmm.
all of the bullies at school and with and changing schools all the time. He finally is like back at home with his mom, and
Yeah.
he doesn't want to have to split her time with Tyson. And I'm like, yeah, that is very understandable that he would feel like that. And Daniel talked about how he didn't want Tyson to be played just for laughs, that he wanted to show him as his like own character and talk about the traumatic things that he went through before he found Percy and stuff. And he
Yeah.
basically said that that's exactly what the writing is like for him. They balance all of that stuff really well, of him being like this like eternal kid basically, or just being younger even though he looks older, and
Yeah, I think we
just
said this last week in the Entertainment Weekly. They said 8 years old specifically.
yeah, like he's like, that's like the mental capacity he has. And like the thing I was gonna say was that the scenes of like Percy not really liking him all the time cannot be that bad, because I was looking for another picture and I like scrolled by and saw the picture of when they were filming the scene where they're outside, like right after the last Dragonians, and they still have on like the jackets from their school, and
Hmm.
Annabeth shows up and like puts her like dagger up to Tyson. This like these pictures always make me laugh because Tyson's like jacket sleeves are like way too short because they're way he's too big
Yeah.
for. It's really funny where like how his jacket sleeves are too short, and the one on Percy is like too big. And like so nothing like fits them right, and like his jacket is too short and his pants are like 2 sizes too big. And so I'm like, I'm pretty sure they just gave him clothes that was like left over at the school. But the picture that I'm talking about is like I remember from the filming of that scene, like the videos of it, that Annabeth just like takes, her hat off, and she's suddenly there like holding a dagger up. And Percy starts yelling at her before Tyson even puts him down. He's like carrying him, like Tyson picks up Percy and carries him out of the school. That happens in the book too. And
Yeah.
in the show, he's doing that. He's carrying him around outside, and all of a sudden Annabeth does that, and he's yelling at her before he tells Tyson to put him down. And I remember from the filming of it, you can see like Percy talk to Tyson, like it's gonna be okay, blah blah blah. I'll talk to her, and then he turns around and looks like he's about to murder Annabeth. He's
Yeah.
so mad. He's so mad. His face looks so mad. And his body language is, the kind of like body language you have when you're like angry at someone and you start yelling at them and your body is just like twitching because
Yeah.
you're angry. That's like his body language during that part when he's walking up to her. And I'm sure you can see her just being like, oh shit. But yeah, so either way, like he's really fucking pissed at Annabeth during that scene for wanting to hurt Tyson. So no matter what like the story arc he does, and about, especially, it's very understandable. I always like defend this sort of thing, that it's really hard when you've been bullied a lot and you find a place where people are nice to you. It's the worst thing in the entire world when you realize that the place where people are nice to you, they're starting to not be nice to you anymore. And that's basically what happens when he gets to camp. Suddenly everyone's not being nice to him anymore, just because of Tyson. And that's
Yeah.
difficult. And like, yeah, he's going to have some moments because he's a kid, and that's just like what you do. Like, when people in my dance class started turning against me because my dad didn't let me go for 3 months, I just stopped going. Like, I literally just told my mom I never want to come back here. And my mom tried to convince me to go anyway because I actually really liked dance, and the teacher was trying to get me to go still because she said I was good at it. And I was just like, no, everyone in the class hated me because I just disappeared. Like, they all didn't like me, and they used to all like me. That was like one of the only places that I would go that people would be nice to me. And
Yeah.
so I just told my mom, no, I can't do this. And I never like explained fully to her like why, but that was why. I was like, I cannot handle a place where someone was the only place that I went to at that time, because school was horrifying during those years too, that people weren't bullying me. I refused to have that happen in this one place where they're not supposed to. And so I just stopped going. So at least Percy doesn't like just up and leave camp. Like Ryan, like he can't really do that. But still, like that's the other option, is just like up and leaving and being like, never mind, bye.
Yeah.
But one thing with Tyson that I thought was really interesting, just like special effects wise, that this is really cool. They have to like tell me, and by me I mean us, the audience, how the hell they figure this out, because I've generally never heard of a production doing like this sort of special effects before. And so Tyson's eye is Daniel's eye. It's not like a it's not like CGI. It's his actual eye. And so they said
Oh.
like his eye, that is Daniel's eye, is going to match like the emotions of the scene. And so when he's in a scene and he's sad, his eye will be sad. Because they just took one of his eyes that from when they were like initially filming the scenes. And so
Yeah.
that eye is going to show like his, it's not like a fake eye. It's
That's
his
probably
real,
why they did it that way, because we
yeah,
were talking about this when we found out that he wasn't wearing like any sort of prosthetics or anything. We were like, okay, what is it gonna look like? Yeah, they did that so they could track the eye's movements then, apparently.
yeah. And it's just, that's such a cool idea. I've legitimately never heard of a show doing something like that before.
Yeah.
Of, and it's just, and that's why Becky was talking about it because, of course, there's probably some people out there on the internet who don't like his eye because there's always somebody being weird about special effects
Yeah.
somewhere. But she said that just to explain, like, maybe people think that it's like CGI when it's not it's his actual eye. It's
Hmm.
not like fake. It's just his eye. And I'm like, that's so cool because imagine like seeing scenes of like Tyson being mad and the eye looks mad, or
Yeah.
Tyson being sad and the eye looks sad. That's gonna make
Yeah.
him look like such a more like real person than he otherwise already is as like precious baby Tyson. Just being
Yeah.
that's being precious Tyson. Like Sophia told me that when they revealed Tyson at the end of this trailer, the Hall H room just started like screaming so loud because we all loved Tyson so much.
Yeah.
And already in interviews, as Leah was like, they have to somehow bring Daniel back because he was so much fun, like on set. She said he was really funny, and she's like, I don't care how, they have to somehow bring him back one day,
Hmm.
because they don't want to, because he's probably not going to be in much of season 3, and if he isn't in it at all, I
Yeah.
hope he is because I just love Tyson, and
Maybe
I'm
they'll keep Percy's phone call to him.
yeah, and I'm pretty much like always permanently in the books hoping that Tyson will show up. So
Yes.
it's just gonna be like that on the show too. Um, and let's see. Oh yeah, okay. The next thing is there's a screenshot in the trailer after this where I didn't realize this when I first watched it because there
Hmm.
always are things in trailers like this that other people notice that it takes me longer to like realize what it is. It's Percy crying,
Hmm.
and it's like he's like soaking wet, and it's like when Tyson dies, but
Yeah.
it's a close up of like Walker's face, and you can see that he's crying. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like this child is gonna kill everybody this season.
Yeah.
And I was just like, like I was like, I know that this is gonna happen. Like I know that like Tyson is gonna die, and or he's gonna think that he's gonna be dead. But I was just like looking at that, like we're actually gonna have to watch this. Like we're gonna have to watch Percy like be like, I can go into the Sea of Monsters and I can help everybody and I can save everyone and I can figure out a way how to get through like Scylla and Charybdis because my dad is the god of the ocean, right? I should be able to
Hmm.
handle this. Only for the ship to literally explode after he can't get Tyson to go down there and try to help save it because he's Tyson. Of course, he wants to go down there and try to help them save the ship.
Yeah.
And then
He,
to think that that the entire ship explodes, and he's gonna think that Tyson died and that he wasn't able to save him, and
yeah,
like that.
Lisa reminds or was reminding me that's the moment where he says, "I wish I could drown." Like,
Yes,
but he can't because of his water powers.
the reason why I realized what that scene was somebody made a TikTok with that quote on it with that picture, and I was like, oh fuck. That's what that moment is of him thinking that he just wants to. He basically thinks that and then passes out.
Hmm.
And that's like how the chapter ends with Scylla and Charybdis. So like the end of the episode is probably going to be that
Oh
or
gosh.
something like that, and we're just going to leave like that episode really upset,
Yeah.
and just being like, what the fuck is wrong with whoever? We can just blame Luke. That's fine.
Yeah.
He is the
It's
one
all
that
Luke's fault
I
anyway.
mean, he is the one that poisoned, like literally stabbed Thalia. So he is
Yes.
the reason why they're having to do all of this anyway in the first place. And then we're gonna like literally count down the minutes until,
Yes.
until they put out the next episode. and hopefully they will show us that Tyson is alive before they tell us in the books. And but the whole
Yeah.
time I'm just gonna be wanting to jump in the screen and tell Percy like he's okay. And also Annabeth is gonna feel really bad
Yeah.
for being so hard on Tyson. They're just gonna be like sad little babies, and we're gonna be like, oh my god, like how do like we're just supposed to watch them feel like this and not have a reaction? That's not fair. But
Mhm.
either way, I saw that picture and I was like, oh Christ, that's like a sad scene in this book, but that's not even like one of like the huge ones that you can imagine will happen
Yeah.
also in this season with other people.